everybody, to what is an Alcohol and Anime Night special, the Halloween special, to be quite clear, if the introduction didn't give you a clue. This is the episode that I've been looking forward to since episode 1. I love Halloween. As you might guess from some of the decor that you typically see just around and some of the things that I like, I love Halloween. And so today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to give you a top 3 my Halloween recommendations for anime. These are going to span decades. They are going to be very different, and by no means are these the best scary anime or the best produced or the most modern or anything of that nature. They just happen to be the ones I think you might have the most fun with. And some of these, I would guarantee at least one of these you haven't seen yet. So let's get started. We're also going to review the Ace Pumpkin Ale, which is there behind me here. I'll save that for later, but we are going to review that as well. And let's get straight into it. So, the first anime that we're going to be looking at tonight, and in no particular order, these are just ones that they're not ranked or anything like that, but the very first one is also going to be the oldest one. This is one from 1987. It's a film by director of Ninja Scroll, Yoshikai Kawajiri. So if you like Ninja Scroll, you'll like this very likely. It's done in a very similar way. The premise of the story is kind of a classic horror in the fact that it is demons versus regular humans. Now in this world, there is a kind of tacit agreement or a very shaky truce between the demons and the humans, and they can all each kind of operate in their worlds, and they each are allowed to have these agents that operate as kind of intermediaries and make sure things don't go too far. Now this truce is there's something happening. There's going to be a new truce. There's going to be a renegotiation. So during this time, it's very shaky and things start to happen. Now in Wicked City, there's some really cool scenes that are actually, especially for men, they might be kind of the stuff of nightmares. And I don't want to give it away too much because it'll shock you when you see it. But this is an R-rated title. This is probably the classic R-rated title that got parents worried that kids were viewing these cartoons that were not for kids. This is in no way for kids. It's got pretty much everything you could think of that shouldn't be viewed by kids. This is sex, violence, nudity, very, very aggressive, kind of supernatural, scary stuff. So this is one, now I'm going to tell you, even though it was from 1987, the film holds up. And there are places that you can view this for free, I believe, because the rights for this film are a bit in flux because of the original way this was released in the United States, was I believe through manga, which was Manga Entertainment, which I'm not sure exists anymore in any form. And so there are several places online, I'll try and put some in the title, that you can actually view this for free. And I believe you can even download it for free to keep. So I'll try and put that link down there in the description. So this is one that's just a freebie. I absolutely recommend you check it out. Some great action scenes. If you are a person who has played any of the cyberpunk games or things in the, anything like that, you're gonna start seeing, oh, this is where some of these scenes came from. This is somewhere where these ideas came from. These kind of cyberpunk feel of this city, this kind of futuristic type thing. If you like things that involve demons and humans, you're really going to like that. There's even a surprisingly heartfelt love story that's in this. So this checks all the boxes, and again, it's probably free in your area, so I'll put the link there below. Now before we get on to the second one, I wanted to talk about a little bit of Japanese. So there are 2 different ways that you can actually mess up your Japanese. So everyone knows kawaii. Everybody knows that kawaii. It's cute, right? And now, if you say it wrong, put our syllables in the wrong place, that changes it from cute to scary. And so I thought I would share that little bit of. It's a very easy to mess up. Cute versus scary. And since it was Halloween, I thought it'd be fun to learn the word scary. It's definitely a for your American ears, that's the way it's versus kawaii. That's kind of the way. And everybody knows Kawaii is. It's very funny, even in the non-anime, kind of non-weeb world, everybody knows what that means. I saw it on just a random Disney cartoon the other day. I thought, oh, that's funny. Like, everybody knows what it means, and they don't have to explain what it means. So, anyway, let's get on to number 2. And number 2, this one, this is like a little diamond in the rough, and it is a. It was released back in 2001, so it's not super old, but it's been around a while. And I found out about this one in a really weird way. I was working at Phoenix Comic-Con at the time, and one of the voice actors, Chris Patton, was there. And I happened to be backstage with him, helping out with something, and just strike up a conversation type thing. And I remember asking, what was the most fun thing that you did? What was the most, just thing that you would recommend that people don't know about? He's like, you know what? Ghost stories. He's like, I had so much fun working on that. We got to do whatever we wanted. He's like, watch it. He's like, you'll be so surprised. And so I just put it in the back of my head, and when I got home, back at that time, it was very difficult to find anything online. And I ended up getting it through Netflix, which was the discs at the time. We actually sent away, and they sent you the discs. Some of you guys might even not remember that. But so I got the disc for this, and he said, get the dubbed version, not the subtitle version. And now, to me, that's always been a no-no. I love the subtitled version because you get the original voice actors. In this one, the legend goes that the original story is so crappy and the dialogue is so lame that the studio literally said, do whatever you gotta do to make this sell. And so they reviewed the whole script and they're like, this thing's garbage. If we translate this as is, it's garbage. So what they did is they kept some of the major plot points, obviously needed to do that. And what they did is they just kind of created a funny version of this. And the dub is hilarious. I don't want to ruin any of the jokes for you. Episode 1 is out there, I believe, for free several different places. Once you watch episode 1, you'll get it. There are so many funny references, pop culture references. They reference Charlie Sheen at some point. There's one girl who's like, they changed her, they like gave everybody like a really specific persona. So it's really fun. Imagine if you and your friends got drunk and dubbed an anime, but you did it amazing with like your hilarious drunk friends. That's the way it was. Like, imagine, do you remember the old I'm the Juggernaut bitch? That whole very much like that, except for like the plot is on key. There's all these little quips, and there's a character who 90% of his dialogue is just gibberish. It's like blah, 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 and it just shows up as unintelligible. It's really funny. There is it's like Scooby-Doo with a cat, I guess, is kind of the original. Like they're solving these ghost mysteries in this school, and it's fun because there are like a lot of these like ghost stories, and they gotta like solve it, and there's like there's a book they find, and they gotta like go through this book. So it's a lot like Scooby-Doo, except for there's a cat that talks. But check it out. You won't be disappointed if you watch the first 2 episodes. You'll get it. There's so many funny references. You'll love it, and so that's the one where I actually recommend the dub rather than the subtitles. And feel free to go up and I believe there's actually been several different people who have written the story about the legend of this dub. And so watch it first and then go back and look at that story. I think you'll really like the idea of how they did that. So they turned kind of a crappy anime into something fun. So let's talk a little bit about our alcohol for the evening, which is the Ace Pumpkin Ale or cider? I believe it's actually they listed it as a cider, but I'm not really sure it qualifies, as I believe it'd be an ale based on what this is. But so I gave this a go. I am a huge fan of the Ace products. I've reviewed, I believe, the pear and I believe I did the pear cider before on this show, but they also, of course, make like a peach and a pineapple. I think it was the pineapple I did. Anyway, good products, really tasty, quite sweet. I'm going to be honest, I didn't like this one. And I'm going to preface this by saying I love pumpkin pie. I love any of the pumpkin loaf, any of those kind of holiday pumpkin type things. This I didn't care for. It's got way too much for my palate of the spice. so it just feels like you're dumping allspice in your mouth. Now, I had a few other ladies try this. They liked it. They liked it, and that's perhaps, I don't know, maybe it's a little closer to the way the coffee with the pumpkin spice tastes. I don't drink coffee, and I don't know what that tastes like, so perhaps that is accurate. So measure, if you really are into like the spice part of the pumpkin spice, this tastes much more like that, rather than say like the kind of sweeter pumpkin flavor, like say a pumpkin bread or pumpkin pie. It doesn't taste anything like that. So I didn't particularly like this, but if you like the spice part of pumpkin spice, give this a go. Ace only has it limited, so you might have to pick it up quite soon. I don't know how big the quantities are, but it might be worth checking it out. Get a 6-pack, try it out with your friends, see what you like. It might be a nice topic of conversation. So anyway, apt for the holiday season. Now, moving on to the last one here in our series, and I will say I've saved the best for last. This is probably one of my top 3, top 4 anime ever, and it just has everything that I personally am looking for. I've shown this anime to people and almost regretted it, because sometimes the first thing I show to them, because it's really difficult to top. It's really even difficult to find something that matches it. And I'm, of course, talking about the High School of the Dead. High School of the Dead was based on a manga that ran, and this was all back in the 2010s. I believe it stopped running right around there. Now, this is an awesome show. It basically is a zombie outbreak that takes place in Tokyo. Now, what you might know about Japan and Tokyo in general is that, unlike America, where you can turn any corner and there's rifles and pistols and shotguns, and we have more guns than humans in America, that is not the case for Japan. While it is not illegal to own a gun in Japan, it's still quite rare due to the amount of stuff you have to go through. That's actually a lot of people don't know that. It's not illegal to own a gun in Japan. It's just very difficult, and also there's not really a lot of opportunities to use it. There is some hunting, but you're talking about very rural type things. So in Tokyo, it would be pretty rare for somebody to have a gun. Thus, a zombie outbreak becomes pretty big danger. And even the self-defense force is a pretty small, they'd be maybe the size of maybe our National Guard at best in one state. They're not a very big unit. Anyway, that means that these zombies have to be kind of defeated with hand-to-hand combat type things. And what you might think about Japan, you might think that there's a katana on every corner. That's also not the case. It actually is quite rare and expensive to own a katana as well. It's as racist as we might be to think that everybody's got a katana. It's not really the case. It's pretty rare. And so we're talking about hand-to-hand blunt instruments, improvised weapons. So now it starts to make the zombie apocalypse quite a lot scarier, not to mention the fact that we are in a major metropolitan area, which means there's a huge volume of these creatures. Now, that's the horror part, and I will say that this is a zombie series that probably does it better than almost any other zombie series out there. Why? Because they get that overwhelming sense of dread. You get the feeling of being overwhelmed, but also they don't take themselves too seriously. This does have pretty good scary moments. It has some very gruesome deaths and zombie moments where the zombies aren't funny characters, they're not whimsical characters. They are terrifying hordes, and they retain the humanity, which also makes it difficult for the characters because they look like people. And you'd be faced with the reality of killing what appears to be people. And that would be very difficult for anybody, especially high schoolers, which our characters are. There are several amazing characters in this, and they are atypical of a lot of anime characters, especially the male character. There's 2 male characters in this that are main. They definitely break off, and they do not share a lot of commonalities with typical anime male characters. The one character, there's not really any of them that are kind of like that shy virgin that does. These are assertive male characters that you don't see a lot of in anime, and even the kind of otaku guy. I will say the one thing that I really like about this character, and I'm the otaku guy, and I'm not going to... I get a feeling that the author, the original mangaka, I believe this character, if I can read him, do a little psych profile on him, my thought is that character is him. That character is very fleshed out, has a lot of emotional, it talks about being bullied, it talks about teachers not caring, and it talks about not feeling like he belongs in this world. And now that this, like, you get the feeling that he may have been thinking of doing some type of violence before this happened, and with this zombie apocalypse happening, it actually may have saved him psychologically. I know it's a very deep topic, and if you really start to observe this character, once I've said that, you'll really start to think, ooh boy, it makes you want to talk to the author about it. Unfortunately, you can't, as he died. And that is probably one of the saddest things, that this was a very popular, it hit Americans, it hit the Japanese, it just took the world by storm. It was everywhere, and the creator died. Heart trouble, I believe. And there were some other things that he worked on in the meantime, a show called Triage X, which has a similar feel to it, but again didn't get very far because of his health problems. So we'll never be able to see the end of this. We'll never be able to see the creator's vision. Now I will say the manga did run a bit longer than the series. The series probably covers about 85%. The anime, I'm sorry, covers about 85% of what the manga did. You can get a little bit more with that, introduces a few extra characters, so I suggest you do that. It's very difficult to find. You might even have to go out there and locate some gray market copies, if you will. But definitely check that one out. It's sexy, it's got boobs, it's got blood, it's got very accurate weapons. The person, the creator, was very, very detailed in their presentation of the weapons. You can tell they were a bit of an otaku, a bit of a nerd about the weapons creation. The vehicles, you could definitely tell they had a lot of American influence. I think that's why the Americans definitely gravitated towards this. All of the weapons specifications and descriptions are spot on, so you're not going to be bumped by anything like that. Better than a lot of American films can do when they start saying bizarre things that don't even make sense. So check it out. I think, in fact, it's better than most zombie films you'll actually see. It was, I believe, in about March 2017 when this all kind of stopped and ended. But check that one out. Bit of a sad story, but cursed by the season, so we'll never ever get a season 2 of it. But please, even in honor of the late creator, please watch this one. Tell me what you think about this one, because it's one of my favorites. So much so that you might be able to see there is a zombies attacking one of the characters in the show. I don't know how good you can see it there. That's Psycho. Psycho is my favorite character from that show. One of my favorite characters in anime, period. She's just this really tough character, and I just loved everything about it. I thought it was a cool tribute to do. So, we're getting towards the end of the show today. I made it a little bit longer than normal. I apologize if you're used to the short shows. I wanted to talk about a couple of other things that are coming your way. First, I have in my stack here of books, I have Chainsaw Man. I ordered it, and I actually ordered it directly from Viz, and it took, oh, I'm sorry, it was from Books A Million. I tried to get it from Books A Million, and I waited over a month, and they still hadn't shipped it, so I said, just refund my money. I found a guy down the street selling it on OfferUp for $10. I met the guy and he had it. It was mint condition. So I'm excited to start reading Chainsaw Man, which means we'll probably be able to, for next year's Halloween special, talk about inevitably how good that anime is going to be. I really have my fingers crossed that this is going to be the next High School is the Dead. I really think it's going to be. I haven't read the manga yet, so everybody's telling me I have to. I'm very excited, as you might be able to tell. A couple of honorable mentions for if you wanted to watch some stuff during this spooky season. Soul Eater is a lot of fun. I'm sure you guys all know about that one. It's a little bit older. There's some great characters in that. I think one of my favorite characters is the witch, whose name is Blair, which I thought was a funny reference to the Blair Witch Project. And I think the idea is that she's not even a real witch. There is a story called Glepnir. Glepnir is a story essentially about a character who these characters were able to transform into other character, kind of almost other monsters. It's spelled Gleipnir. Gleipnir. It looks like he's like this giant mascot, like kind of an evil mascot, and this girl like crawls inside of him. It's pretty cool. Definitely watch the first couple episodes. It definitely hits the Halloween feel. And there's one called, I have to look how I'm spelling it here, Yamashibai. Yamashibai is a cool story, and I'll put the spelling down here somewhere so that way you can, it's an anthology. Each one is a different short story. There may be only maybe 10 minutes at most, and they are different urban legends, Japanese urban legends told in these short story, almost hand-drawn, kind of like a difference of like a hand-drawn or like cutout style. I really thought they were creepy, they were short, and in my personal opinion, scary stories are meant for short form. I personally think the best scary stories are done in short form rather than like long 90-minute things. So I think anything under an hour is really good for horror, because I think horror is meant to, you have to have a willing suspension of disbelief, and that can only be done oftentimes in short form. So these really hit the mark, and if you're looking for scary, these do the trick. So it's been my pleasure hanging out with you guys. This is my favorite holiday of the year. I love Halloween, so I really hope you guys enjoyed the Halloween special. Again, my name was Scott. It's been awesome talking anime with you guys. Enjoy your Halloween and kanpai!